Okay, so complex line integral. So obviously all of you already know what do we mean by integration. What do we mean by integration? So just to forget about the complex line, just to tell me anyone, what is the geometrical meaning of an indefinite integral? What is the geometrical meaning of an indefinite integral? Integration. Have you heard the name or not? What is the geometrical meaning of integration? Baba, simple, no? See, whenever you are integrating some function, say whatever it may
Sir,
be,
area.
not actually indefinite integral does not represent area. That is about the definite integral. Definite integral represents the area of the curve, but this one here it is not a definite integral. It is an indefinite integral. So if you integrate it, suppose the integration of f of x, I am getting say g of x. Suppose I am getting g of x plus some constant. You'll get some constant of integration here. Now see here. So this will represent a nothing but a curve. This will represent a what? A curve. So this will represent a curve. So go on changing the value of this constant of integration. For each value of c, you will get a curve. So what will be the difference? Just here only, just go on changing the value of x or c, gx is that one plus c. So if you change the value of this constant of integration, for each value of c, you will get one curve. So here you will get an infinite number of curves. Here you will get an if you give infinite number of values to the c, you will get infinite number of curves. And together, if you combine all these, so this will be what? If in your home there are 4 or 5 people of same, so this is called what? A family, no? So in the same way, here the shape of the curve will be same. Shape of the curve will be same, but the difference is what? Their location will change due to this curve C. Due to this constant C, their location will change, their position will change, but the shape of the curve, suppose this is the shape of the curve, so the shape of the curve will remain same, but what will be the change? Their position will change. So if you combine all these curves together, so this will represent a what? A family of curves. This will represent a what? A family of curves. So an indefinite integral represent a what? A family of curves. But if you give here, if the region is bounded, then this will not come. This will not come. So here only gx will not come. Here you will get some particular value. Here you will get what? Some particular value. And that value represent what? Area of this curve bounded by what? Bounded by this region A to B. Bounded by this region A to B. So this will represent a what? Area of the curve. Is that clear? So now we are going to discuss about the complex line integral. Okay, let's see here. So let f of z be continuous at all points of the curve C. So see, I have taken one curve from here, this curve. I have taken a curve, this curve. And the name of the curve I have given what? That is C. This one. And the curve is what? Continuous at each and every point over this, the function fz is continuous at each and every point over this curve. And the length of the curve I have considered it is what? Finite length. Okay. The length of the curve I have not considered infinite. The length of the curve I have considered it is finite. So if a curve is of finite length, then that curve is called rectifiable curve. Then the curve is called what? A rectifiable curve. Now what I do, now this is the curve. The starting point is this one and ending point is here this one. So it's a finite value, finite length curve. Now what I'm going to do, so this is your curve C. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this curve C into n parts. I'm going to divide it into what? Into n parts by means of the point what? Z1, Z2, Z3, dot, dot, what? Z minus 1. So here not, so before that, Z1, Z0 will come, and then the last term will be what? Zn. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take Z0 as A. I'm going to take Z0 as A and Zn as equal to what? B. So this is the point. This is the first point, Z0, that is your A. This is the last point, Zn. I'm giving, I've given its name as what? B. Now, now see here. Here Z0, I've taken Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4, like this, Zk, Zk minus 1, Zn minus 1, then Zn. Like this, there are. Now what I'm going to do, now see, from Z0 to Z1, okay, it has some length. It has some length from Z0 to Z1. I'm going to give the name of the, I'm going to put a value that is what? Put a value to this length, that is what? Say xi1. So not epsilon 1. Then similarly from Z1 to Z2, it has some length. So I'm going to give its value, some value that is what? Epsilon 2. Then similarly from Z2 to Z3, it has some length. I'm going to give its value as what? Epsilon 3. Similarly, just go on. So from Zk minus 1 to Zk, there is some value, some it has length. It has length, and the I'm going to give its length as what? As epsilon k. Similarly, from Z minus n to Zn, it has some length, and I'm going to give the length as what? As epsilon n. So like this, I'm going to give the length of each of the arc. These are arc. Z0 to Z1, this is one arc. Z1 to Z2, this is another arc. Then Z2 to Z3, there is another arc. So I have given length to each arc of the curve what? C. So on each arc, joining the point Zk minus 1 to Zk. So I am writing in general, where k is equal to what? 1 to n. Is equal to what? 1 to n. Choose a point, what? Epsilon k. Choose a point, what? Epsilon k. Okay. Then what? Now let us form the sum. So how will you find the sum? Very simple. How will you get? First, because the function is what? Continuous over this curve. The function is what? Fz. Fz is what? Continuous over this curve. So what? I have chosen one point at each arc of the curve C. So from Z0 to Z1, I have taken epsilon 1. From Z1 to Z2, epsilon 2. From Z2 to Z3, epsilon 3. So how will you get the, if you want to find out the sum of the length of what? Each of the arc. So how will you get? F of epsilon 1 into Z1 minus Z0. Then plus, same thing. Next, if you come to this arc, so what? F of epsilon 2 into what? Z2 minus Z1 into what? Z2 minus Z1. Then next what? Here, f of epsilon 3 into Z3 minus Z2. So like this it will go on. So you'll get a sum. So I have denoted the sum S, capital S, suffix n. Sn is equal to what? F of epsilon 1 Z1 minus A. A means what? Z naught. So in place of Z naught I have written A plus F of epsilon 2 Z2 minus Z1 like this. And last term will be what? F of epsilon Zn minus Zn minus 1. And Zn is equal to what? B. Okay. So then I'm considering that is what? This Zk minus 1. This length of the arc. Zk minus 1. So length of the arc I'm considering what? Del Zk. I'm considering it is what? Del Zk. Now see here, the equation 1. If you see the equation 1, now this this sum, if you want to write using the summation sign, so what you can write here? The value of epsilon starts from what? Epsilon 1, then epsilon 2, then up to what? Epsilon n. So can I write f of epsilon k, where the value of k will start from 1 to n, and then this all difference, what can I write? Zk minus 1. Now let us put k is equal to 1, whether you are getting this one or not. K equal to 1, f of epsilon 1, Z1 minus Z0. And Z0 is what? A first term. Then plus k equal to 2, f of epsilon 2, Z2 minus Z1. Z2 minus Z1. In the similar way, you will get all the terms, even though you will also get the last term also. That is what? If you put get k equal to n, f of epsilon n, Zn minus 1. So Zn is equal to b and minus Zn minus 1. So this whole expression can be written in a shorter form using the summation sign. That is simple. Now Zk minus 1 is equal to what you have considered? You have considered it is del Zk. So just I have substituted here, del Z. Okay. So now Sn is equal to what? Summation k is equal to 1, f of epsilon k into del Zk. And del Zk is what? Is the length of the what? Length of each of the arc. Now what I'm going to do, let the number of subdivision, that is n, increases indefinitely such that the largest of the chord length, that is absolute value of del Zk, approaches to what? 0. Now what I'm going to do here, I have considered this is a finite curve, finite length curve. Now what I have did, I have divided into n parts, but I didn't told you that we have divided into n equal parts. I simply told you that I have divided into what? Into n parts. Maybe some length of the chord will be sort of bigger, some of the chord length will be what? Smaller. So we have divided into n parts simply. Now what I am going to do, this I have divided this arc, this curve into n parts. Now I'm going to increase this number. I'm going to increase the number of parts indefinitely in such a way that the length of the largest chord, what? The length of the largest chord will approaches to what? Approaches to 0. So length of the largest chord will approaches to 0. So that is del Zk, mode of del Zk approaches to 0. Then this sum, Sn will what? Approaches to what? A limit which do not depend on the mode of what? Subdivision. So if you increase the number of subdivision in such a way that the length of the largest chord will approaches to 0, then in that case, what? This sum, its value, does not depend over the what? Does not depend over the number of subdivision. And it will tend to what? It will tend to what? It will tend to what? To a finite value. So does not depend over the what? Mode of subdivision, and it is denoted by what? And it is denoted by integration a to b f of z dz. So whatever be the number of subdivision you will do, whatever be the number of subdivision you will do to the curve, there will be nothing, there will be no change in the value of what? In the value of this sum. So this will nothing but, it will be represented by what? Integration a to b f of z dz. Or sometimes it is written as integration over c. Over c means what? Over the curve. And the curve is starting from where? From the point A and ending at the point B, because it's a finite length curve. So it is also denoted by integration over the curve C, f of z dz. And this curve, this is called what? Your complex line integral. Simple. Now, note that f, and already we have considered that fz is what? Fz is analytic at all points of the region R, and C is a what? Curve lying in the region R. Then fz is certainly integrable along the curve C. That means what? If you know that the curve, the given curve, that means the function fz is analytic at all points of the region. Suppose this is the region and the curve C lying, suppose this is the curve. So this curve is lying inside the region, and already you know that this function fz is what? Analytic over this region R. Then certainly this fz is what? Integrable over the what? Curve C. This is the curve C. So the curve C is what? Lying inside the region. And you know that the given function fz is what? Analytic over whole region. So obviously the function fz will be what? Integrable over this curve C. Integrable along the curve C. That means at each and every point you will get the value, that means the integration will exist. But if some of the part of this curve, if it lies outside, so you can't say that. In this part, the function is what? Integrable. You can't say that. But if this whole part will lies inside the curve, inside the region, then in that case, you can say that what? The function is what? Integrable along the what? Along the curve C. So obviously we have changed what? Thus the sum, if you take n tends to infinity, so that will become s. So limit n tends to infinity, summation k equal to 1 to n, f of epsilon k is called what? Complex line integral. So either you say you write in this form also, or you can write what? This one in the form of what? In the form of summation. Same, meaning is same. Okay, next we are going to discuss about the simply connected region and multiply connected region. So what does it mean? So okay, let's see here. These are the three situations I have discussed here. So now see here, this one, the outer part, outer side. So this will mod z equal to 2. Mod z equal to 2. So can you tell me what it will represent? Mod of z equal to 2. What it will represent? Okay. Now what is the modulus of z? Modulus of z is what? X root over x square plus y square is equal to 2. Okay. Now if you take a square on both sides, so you will get what? X square plus y square is equal to what? Is equal to 2 square. Now can you tell me what it will represent? What this equation will represent?
Circle.
Circle with center at origin and radius is what? Radius is 2. So this is a circle. Mod z equal to 2, that will be a circle with center at origin and radius is what? 2. Then what I have taken? I have taken a region. I have taken a region, this one, eta, inside the circle. Now see here. So this wholly lies inside the circle, Z. Now see, whatever be this region, I'm telling about this region. I'm telling about this region. Now see, all the points of this region are what? Wholly in the, are all the points are also in the region, this one. So if suppose there is a point here and suppose there is a point here. So if you join these 2 points, if you want to join these 2 points, so what? While joining these 2 points, is this line, is the, means all the points lying on the line are not in the whole region? They are definitely in the whole region. Now you see here, this one. This is the circle mod z equal to 2 and this is another circle mod z equal to 1. Now here the region, your region is what? Bounded between these 2 circle, mod z equal to 2 and mod z equal to 1. So your regions are what? These are the dotted parts. These are dotted parts are what your? These dotted parts are what your? Are the region. Now inside that region, I have taken that another region, that part, this one. Now see, I am taking 1 point here and I am taking 1 point here. Now if you want to join these 2 points in any manner by a line, I'm not saying by a curve, I'm going to join these 2 points by a what? By a line. So now see here, this hollow part, mod z equal to 1, hollow part, these points are not in the region, this region. So if you join these 2 points here, so this part from here to here, these parts are not, this point, whatever with the points on this line, these points are not in the region R. So they are going outside. While joining these 2 points, these parts are what? While joining, this is going outside of the region. You are joining the 2 points by going outside of the region. Okay, but that case will not be here. So what does it mean? A simply connected region is one which do not have any holes on it, while a multiply connected region is one which does. That means, now see, if this, see here, I'm going to take 1 point here, I'm going to take another point here. So this is the whole region, and the points we have taken in the region are what? The dotted part, the shaded part. Okay, these points are not in the region. So if I am going to join these 2 points by a line, so what you'll see? Can you join directly? No. We need to go by these hollow parts. You can't join directly these 2 points. So you need to bypass this part, and but this point, this till this whatever with the point on this line, these are not inside the region. So you are going from outside of the region. You are bypassing some region which are not inside the region. Then in that case, this is called what? Multiply connected region. This is not a simply connected region. So this is a simply connected region. You won't get any hole inside this region. But here, see, here is you are getting one hole. Here you are getting how many holes? 3 holes are there. So this is not a simply connected region. This is, so these are multiply connected region. These are what? Multiply connected region. So the definition you can say that is what? A region R is called simply connected region if any simple closed curve which lies in the region R can be shrunk. What? Can be shrunk to a point without leaving the region R. See, in the other two conditions, what you are getting in this condition, it is leaving the region in both the parts, here and here. If you are going to join this point and this point, so you need to leave the region. And here also there is one point, there is another point. So if you need to join these 2 points, so you are leaving the region and then you are going to join. But here, if I am taking one point here and another point here, so if I am joining, so I am not leaving the region. Within the region, I'm able to join the 2 points. But in the other 2 cases, it's not possible. In other cases, it's not possible. So that's why this will become what? The other 2 figures will represent what? A multiply connected region. But this first one will represent a what? A simply connected region. Okay. So that is shrunk to a point without leaving R. A region R which is not simply connected is called what? Multiply connected region. In other words, if a region is not simply connected, then that region is called what? Multiply connected region. Then simple closed curve and multiple closed curve. What is simple closed curve? Simple closed curve. So first of all, a closed curve is this one, closed from all sides. So this is a closed curve, no doubt. So that means a curve whose beginning and ending points are what? Same. Then that curve is called what? Closed curve. So a closed curve may be your simple closed curve, maybe your multiple closed curve. So that depends here. So what is the criteria of simple closed curve? So a closed curve which does not intersect itself anywhere. So you have a closed curve whose beginning and ending points are same. But in the closed curve are not intersecting itself anywhere. Then in that case, that closed curve is called what? Your simple closed curve. Now see here, this curve, just to see this curve. Now see, obviously, if you are considering this is your beginning point, so I'm going like this, I'm going like this, then like this, I'm going, then this like this, then ending here. Now tell me, is this curve intersecting itself anywhere? Is this curve intersecting itself anywhere? No.
No.
So, but it's a closed curve. But it's a what? But it's a closed curve. So this curve is called what? Your simple closed curve. Now see here, this curve is also a closed curve, but this curve is not a simple closed curve. Why? Now let us consider this one here. I am starting from here. It's going like this. It's going like this. It's going like this. Then ending at what? Ending at same point. Okay. This beginning and ending points are same. Now, is this curve intersecting itself anywhere? Yes, this curve is intersecting itself here. And so this curve is no doubt it's a closed curve, but it cannot be a simple closed curve. It cannot be a simple closed curve. Okay, so this is your simple closed curve. This is also a simple closed curve. Any curve you take, any curve, this curve. This is also a curve. So this is a simple closed curve because the curve is not intersecting itself anywhere. So that curve is called what? Your simple closed curve. Now see here, this theorem. This is an important theorem. What is that one? Cauchy integral theorem. Cauchy integral theorem. So what is Cauchy integral theorem? So the statement you need to know what is the statement of this Cauchy integral theorem. Sometime in your exam will come state and proof Cauchy integral theorem. So the statement must you know. What does it mean? And its application is done in while solving some problem. We'll solve a few problems later in later part. So there we need to use this one. So what is that? If fz is analytic function, the function is what? Analytic function of z. And if f dash z is continuous at each point within and on a closed contour C. So let us see, I am taking a closed contour C. So this is a closed contour C. It's closed region C. Now what is the function is what? Fz is analytic. Where? Analytic functions of z over this region, and the function fz, the function f dash z. F dash z is continuous at each and every point within and on the region. What do you mean by on the region? That means on this boundary line. There are certain points. There are also points on the boundary point, and there are points inside the point. So if f dash z, if what? F dash z is what? If f dash z is continuous at each and every point within and on this region R, then if you need to find the integration of this function fz over this curve C, then its integration will be what? Integration will be what? 0. But for that, the function must be analytic over the region. Okay? So if a function fz is analytic function of z, and if its derivative is continuous at each and every point within and on the region, closed region, okay, closed, not open, closed region, then integration over this region must be equal to what? 0. So let us prove it. How will you prove it? Now, so here we are discussing about the Cauchy integral theorem, that if fz is an analytic function of z and if f dash z is continuous at each and every point within and on a closed contour C, then integration over C fz dz equal to 0. So the proof of this is very simple. Now, since already we have in the statement fz is an analytic function and its derivative f dash z is continuous at each and every point within and on the closed contour C. So, so f dash z, that is with respect to x, if you are differentiating this one. So f dash z equal to what? Del u upon del x plus I del v by del x. And if you use the Cauchy-Riemann equation, so this ux equal to what? Vy, and vx equal to what? Minus uy. So minus, so by CR equation. So since fz is given to be analytic, so from this, now see, since fz is analytic and f dash z is what? Continuous at each and every point within and on a closed contour C. So f dash z is continuous, and that means f dash z exists. And so if f dash z exists, so this del u by del x, del v by del x, or del v by del y and del u by del y. So all these four partial derivative must exist. And since f dash z is continuous within and on the closed contour C, that means this your all the four partial derivative ux, vx, uy, and vy must also continuous at each and every point within the closed contour C and on the boundary of the closed contour C. So this must be. So thus by Green's theorem, then you can apply the Green's theorem. So Green's theorem is what? This is nothing but you can convert a line integral. You can convert a line integral over surface integral. Over surface integral means line integral into double integral. So this one. So what is that one? Integration of psi of dx plus phi of dy is equal to. So this is line integral. This is the notation of line integral. So line integral can be converted to the surface integral using the Green's theorem. So how? So del. So what is first del phi by differentiation of phi with respect to s. So del phi by del x minus psi with respect to y, del psi by del y of dx dy. So like this. So here phi here with respect to x minus psi here with respect to what? Y. So del phi by del x minus del psi by del y dx dy. Okay. So if you see here how I have used that Green's theorem here. So so now see here integration of fz over c, integration of fz over the closed contour C. This is your closed contour C. Suppose this is the closed contour C. So here I am taking the integration of fz over this region. So fz equal to what? U plus iv, and dz equal to what? Dx plus I dy, because z equal to x plus iy. So dz equal to dx plus I dy. So if you multiply these two, and if you separate the real and imaginary part, so you will get u dx minus v dy plus I v dx plus u dy. That means, yeah. Okay. So if you use here the what Green's theorem, so how will you use here? Now see, compare u dx minus v dy. So here what? Just you see, if you see the Green's theorem, psi dx plus phi dy. So this is equal to what? First, differentiation of phi with respect to x minus differentiation of the psi with respect to y. So same thing here. Now see here. Here, u dx minus v dy. So first, differentiation of this minus v with respect to x. So minus del v by del x. Then one minus will come. Then differentiation of this u with respect to what? Y dx dy. Plus I, same thing, same concept here. So first u with respect to x. So that is del u by del x. Minus then v, differentiation of v with respect to what? Y. So minus del v by del y dx dy. So this is by applying Green's theorem. So see here, when we applied the Green's theorem, this was the line integral. So line integral is converted over what? Over double integral. Line integral converted to what? Double integral. So where by applying Green's theorem, where d denotes the what? D denotes the domain containing the what? Closed contour C. D denotes the what? Domain containing what? Closed contour C. Now, if you see here, so here, this is what? Del v by del x, and here it is what? Del v by del y. Now, you already know the Cauchy-Riemann equation. That is what? Ux is equal to Vy, and Uy is equal to what? Minus Vx. So just use it here. So Vx minus Vx equal to what? Uy. So just I have substituted here Uy minus del U by del Y dx dy plus I. So Ux. So del U by del x equal to del U by del x equal to del Vy. Ux equal to what? Vy. So del V by del Y minus del V by del Y. So this is 0. This is 0. So integration of this is what? Integration of 0 is what? 0. Integration, double integration of 0 is what? 0. So this both 0. So this is 0. So ultimately what? In the left hand side, ultimately what you are getting? Integration of C over of what? Of Fz. That should be what? 0. That will be what? Is equal to what? Equal to 0. That means if C is a closed counter, if always remember this theorem or property. If C is a closed counter and C is a simple closed curve, and Fz is analytic over this, Fz is analytic over this what? Over this closed counter C, then integration of C over of Fz dz should be what? That will be 0. So if a function Fz is analytic over and on the closed counter C, then the integration of the function on the closed counter will be what? Is equal to 0. So this is the theorem. You can say this is the property. Next, there are some, you can say the properties we can derive from the Cauchy theorem. So that that is your consequence of Cauchy theorem. The first one is what? What is that? If Fz is analytic in a simply connected region R. What is saying? What it's saying? If your function Fz is analytic in a simply connected region R, then obviously know what is simply connected region. There should not be any hole. If you join any 2 points, so the line should be within the region. So if Fz is analytic in a simply connected region, then it says that integration of A to B Fz dz is independent of the path in R, joining any 2 points A and B in R. What does it mean? Here it says that if Fz is analytic in a simply connected region, so obviously that is simply connected. So then if you join any 2, then it says that the value of this integration is independent of what? Independent of the path in R by joining the 2 points A and B in R. What does it mean? That means, suppose you have a region, this one. Suppose this is the region, suppose R, I'm saying. In this region, and this is a simply connected region, I am considering 2 points here. This is the point A and this is the point B. This is the point B. Now, we can join in any way, no problem at all. This path will never go outside of this region. All the points on this curve should be within the region R. So either you join in this way to B, or either you join in this way to the point B. There will be no problem. If you join A to B like this, or you join A to B like this, or you join A to B directly like this, the value of this integration will there will be no change in the value of what? This integration. In every path, the value will be remain same. So we'll show that either you join from A to B using this path, or you join using this path. The value of this is going to remain same. Okay, let's see how will you prove it. Okay, so since the function is analytic, so since FZ is analytic in a simply connected region R, then just now you prove the theorem. What? If a function FZ is analytic in a simply connected region R, then integration over the region, integration of FZ over the region should be what? 0. That means, now see here, this is a simply connected region. Now see, if you take this whole, if you take this whole, if you take this one, this whole as a some region, this one, so this is obviously simply connected region. So FZ is analytic in the region. Already it says that the problem, it already says that FZ is analytic. Then according to the last theorem, integration over this region, integration of FZ over this region. So what is the region? Just I am giving the name as what? A, E, B, D, A. That means what? A, E, then what? B, D, A. What is this value? According to the last theorem, its value should be what? 0. So that means this implies, so this is A, B, D equal to 0. That means this can be written as, so integration of FZ dz AEB plus BDA. Same thing. The whole region I'm taking. Now whole region I've divided into two parts. One is what? AEB, from A to B, and then again from B to A. So AEB plus BDA. FZ dz. Same thing. Then now see here. Let's see how it is mapping. From A to B you are going here, no? And again from here A to B you are going. Now here, what you have taken? From which way you are coming? A, E, B. Okay, this is okay. This is in the direction of this one, A to B. Then this is what? You are mapping from A to B. You are going from A to B. But here what you have written? BDA. That means BDA. Against you are coming. So if you want to write ADB, so this minus, this one you have to change. So this will change to what? Minus. So if you change to minus, then this BDA will become what? ADB. Okay. So now see here. This will be what? This will be what? Minus ADB. Now this AEB, which curve this one? This is the curve C2. And ADB is which curve? That is the curve C1. See here. Just already I have mentioned here. AEB, which curve? C2 curve. And ADB, which curve? C1 curve. So ultimately what you are getting? Integration over C2 FZ dz equal to what? Integration over C1 FZ dz. That means there will be no change in the value of FZ. That means there will be no change in the what? In the value of what? Integration of FZ. Either you are doing the integration of FZ over the curve C2 or the curve C1. You are getting the same value. So that implies that if the function FZ is analytic, if the function FZ is analytic, then the value of this integration is independent of the path joining the what? 2 points. So you can join in any way, in any fashion. Then in that case what? The value of integration does not depend over the which path you are choosing. Okay, so this is number 2. This is also. Now next is what? It's saying that let FZ be analytic. Let FZ be an analytic in the region R, bounded by two simple closed curves C1 and C2. Now see this time. What? FZ be analytic in the some region R. This is the region R, suppose. And this FZ is what? Bounded by two simple closed curves C1 and C2. And also on C1 and C2. Prove that The line integral over C1 fzdz is equal to line integral over C2 fzdz, where C1 and C2 are in anti-clockwise sense. That is in the positive direction. Okay, let's see. Now see here, this one. Okay. So this is the two region, C1 and C2. This is the curve C. This is the simple connected region. This is C1 and this is what C2. So and it is mapped what in anti-clockwise direction. So this is C1 in anti-clockwise and this C2 in anti-clockwise direction. Is that clear? Now, so by Cauchy theorem, what? Now see here. What is the problem? Fz is analytic in the region and bounded by two simple closed curves C1 and C2. It is in between C1 and C2. So that means which part? Which part? These are the part. This is the part. Okay. So to get whole region, what you need to join this line here, one line. Okay. So what will be the region? A, H, I, or you can say A. You can take first A, B, D, E, F, G, A, H. If you want to write in a single, so what? Or you can write in what? In some of these four integration. First is what? First this A, B, D, E, F, G, A. Here closed. Okay. Then this one, you are going inside A, H. Then what? You are moving what? Going this one. Then H, J, I, H. Okay. H, J, I, H. Then you need to come out, no? So H to A. So H, A. F, Z, Z. And sum will be what? 0, because the function is analytic over this region. Okay. Now see here. Now this which curve? A, B, D, E, F, G, A. Which curve? This is the curve C1. So this is C1. Now AH, keep as it is. Now here see, you are mapping in what? Anti-clockwise direction, but see how you are moving like this, and then you are coming here. Then you are entering this, you are moving in this direction, and then going out. So here H, J, I, H. So you are moving against the direction of the what? Of the mapping. The direction is what? Anti-clockwise, but you are moving this way. So it will be what? Minus. If you change the direction, earlier H, J, I, H. Now if you change H, I, J, H, then it will be minus. Plus becomes minus. And this H, A, its the direction is what? This one. So if you go against, so it will be what? H, A, if you want to write H, so here it will be what? Minus. So this one and this integration will be cancelled out. Now this integration is what? H, I, J, H. H, I, J, H. Which curve? Which? This is the curve C2. So this is the curve C2. So this is the curve C2. And so what you are getting? Integration over C1 FZDZ is equal to what? Integration over C2 FZDZ. Okay, so that's prove the result. Next is what? This one. See this example. Evaluate integration over C dz by z minus a, where C is the simple closed curve and z is equal to a. In first outside C, next inside C. Okay, evaluate What you need to evaluate? You need to find out the value of this integration, where C is the simple closed curve and Z equal to A in outside C and inside C. Outside of this region, and inside of this region. Okay, let's see. So if Z is equal to A is outside, if Z is equal to what? A is outside. So now see here, this integration here, if you see this integration, what is Fz here? What is Fz? That is your 1 upon Z minus A. Okay, this is Z minus A. Now, for what value of Z? The value of the function Fz does not exist. Except Z is equal to A. Except Z equal to A. Except Z equal to A. If you take any value of Z here, the value of Fz exists. But if you take Z equal to A, so it will be what? 1 by A minus A 0. 1 upon 0 is what? Infinity. So the value of Fz does not exist. And you are evaluating this integration. That means you are finding the value of this, you are finding the integration of this function over the what? Over the closed curve C. So if the point Z is equal to A is inside, then since the function does not exist at this point, so because does not exist, that means what? Its derivative also not exist, and so the function will be what? Not analytic. So the first condition is if the point Z is equal to A will be outside of the curve, Z is equal to A, outside of the region. So no problem. We are not going to check what will be this value of this integration outside C. We are going to check inside. So since there will be no value here inside or on the curve C where Fz does not exist, you will get at each and every point inside and on the curve C, the value of Fz will what? Exist. And its derivative will also exist. And that implies the first theorem, if a function is analytic inside and on the closed curve C, then integration over C, Fz is equal to what? 0. So if Z is equal to A, that is outside of the region, then by the theorem, by Cauchy theorem, what? Integration of C, Fz is equal to what? 0. Now, if it will be inside the C, inside the region, so just this is the point Z equal to A. This is the point Z equal to A. So what I am going to do here, I am going to form a small circle with center at A and radius as epsilon, and then marking this region as C1. So what I am going to do here, suppose Z is equal to A is inside C, the second condition, and let C1 be a circle of radius what? Epsilon with center at Z equal to A. So that C1 is inside C. So we choose this epsilon in such a way that C1, this circle C1 with center at A and radius epsilon should be inside the region C. Then just now we proved the result here. This result, this one, whether you find out the, what was that one? If Fz is analytic in a region R and that region is bounded by two simple closed curves C1 and C2, then what? Integration over C1 Fz dz is equal to what? Integration of C2 F to Z. So that means either you find out the what? Integration of Fz over C1, or you find out the integration over C2. There will be no change in the value of integration of what fz. So here also same thing. This is the region bounded by C1 and C2, in between C1 and C2. So integration of C over fz is equal to what? Integration of what? Integration over C1 of fz, that equal to what? That will be same. So that is integration of C dz by z minus a equal to what? Integration over C1 dz by z minus 1. Now C1 is a circle with center at A and epsilon as radius. So mode of z minus a equal to epsilon. So this will represent a what? Circle with center at A and radius as epsilon. So if you break this one, so this will be z minus a equal to epsilon e to the power I theta, where theta lies between 0 and 2 pi. Okay, so this is if you break this modulus, if you remove this modulus, so for that it will come here e to the power I theta, and the value of theta lies between 0 and 2 pi. So z equal to what? A plus epsilon e to the power I theta. So dz equal to what? Just to differentiate, dz equal to a is constant 0, epsilon is fixed. Now e to the power I theta is what? I e to the power I theta, I e to the power I theta d theta. So here, in place of z minus a, you put this one, and in place of dz, you put this one, and see what you are getting. So integration of fz over c1, that will be what? In place of dz, I am substituting here, dz by z minus a. Z minus a is what? Z minus a already have, you know, epsilon into the power I theta. Now here, now the integration is what? Over theta, and the value of theta lies between what? From 0 to 2 pi. So theta varies from 0 to 2 pi. Now see, epsilon e to the power I theta, epsilon e to the power I theta, that will cancel out. So what is left? I d theta. So I 0 to 2 pi d theta, and integration of d theta is what? Theta. And if you put this limit of integration, so you will get what? 2 pi I. You will get how much? 2 pi I. So that means integration of C, because this value and this value is same. So integration of C dz upon z minus a equal to what? Is equal to 2 pi I. Okay. Okay, so the next part is your Cauchy integral formula. So there are two, I have discussed by two different methods. So just to follow one method, that will be sufficient. Now, what is Cauchy integral formula? Cauchy integral formula. So it says that if the function fz is analytic inside and on the boundary of the region C of a simply connected region R. What? If the function fz is analytic inside and on the boundary C of a simply connected region R, then Cauchy integral formula states that f of a is equal to what? 1 upon twice pi I integration over C, line integral over C of fz by z minus dz, where C is traverse in the positive direction, that means in anti-clockwise direction. F of a equal to what? Z equal to a, z equal to a, at the point z equal to a, z equal to a. Okay, where C is traverse in the what? Positive direction. Also, the nth derivative of fz at z equal to a is given by what? Because Cauchy integral. So if you want to find the nth derivative of this, so that is fn. Nth, this n represents what? Nth derivative of f at the point a. So that will equal to what? Factorial n upon twice pi I line integral fz by z minus a to the power what? N plus 1 dz, n equal to 1 to 3. Okay, this one you must have to remember this Cauchy integral formula. Now, so equation 1 and 2, just I told you that equation 1 and 2 both are called Cauchy integral formula and are important because they show that if a function fz is known on a simple closed curve C, then the value of the function at all its derivatives can be found at all point inside the curve C. So now see here, the first method. This is the region C, curve C, and then at z equal to a, I have taken inside the what? Inside this region C. So I have taken, and then I have constructed a circle in such a way that with the center at A and radius epsilon, such a way that this circle should be inside this region C. Then obviously you know that the function 1 upon z minus, just now I proved that one. The function fz by z minus a is analytic inside and on C except at the point z equal to a. Except at the point z equal to a, because z equal to a, this will not valid. This will not exist. This function will not exist. So except z equal to a at each and every point, whatever is the point you take inside the curve and on the boundary, the value of this will exist. Then we have what? Just now I proved this one. So integration of this function, either you take over the curve C or over the curve C1. Its value will be what? Same. So integration of C fz upon z minus a dz must be equal to what? Integration of fz by z minus a over C1. This must be equal. Then C1 is what? C1 is nothing but a circle with center at A and radius epsilon. So z minus a equal to epsilon. Z minus a equal to what? Epsilon into the power I theta. So z equal to what? A plus epsilon into the power I theta. Then you do, so just if you put, so if you differentiate dz equal to what? Epsilon I to the power I theta d theta. Then you put here. So that is what? F of z. So z means what? A plus epsilon into the power I theta. Here fz upon z minus a, and z minus a is what? Epsilon into the power I theta, and dz equal to what? Dz equal to what? Here dz equal to what? I epsilon into the power I theta d theta. So okay, now see here. Epsilon into the power I theta, epsilon into the power I theta. That will be cancelled out. I will be outside into 0 to 2 pi f of a plus epsilon into the power I theta d theta. Thus, we have from 1. So you are getting, so the value of integration over C fz by z minus a must be equal to what? The value of integration fz by z minus over C1. So thus, integration over C fz by z minus d is equal to what? I integration of what? 0 to 2 pi f of a plus epsilon into the power I theta d theta. Okay. Now taking the limit on both sides of 2 and making use of the continuity of fz, we get. Now we are taking limit epsilon tends to 0 on both sides. So this will be what? Integration of C fz, there will be no epsilon. So limit will remain as it is. Integration over C fz by z minus a dz equal to limit epsilon tends to 0 I 0 to 2 pi f of a plus epsilon into the power I theta d theta. So I will be outside. Okay. So this limit you can take inside the what? Inside the integration. So 0 to 2 pi limit epsilon tends to 0 f of a plus epsilon into the power I theta d theta. Now if you put the limit, so what? A plus epsilon value is what? 0. So this part becomes 0. So this will be what? F of a d theta. And f of a is what? Constant, because a is constant. So f of a is constant. Take it outside. Integration of what? 0 to 2 pi d theta. D theta is what? Integration of d theta is theta. And theta is what? If you put this limit of integration, so you'll get 2 pi. So 2 pi I f of a. So what you are getting here? Therefore, because so from here left side is what? Integration of c fz by z minus a dz equal to what? 2 pi I f of a. So f of a equal to what? 1 upon 2 pi I integration of c fz by z minus a dz. So this is the method 2. You can see by yourself. Now see here, you need to evaluate. Just I'm doing this problem. Evaluate this one. Integration over c sin pi z square plus cos pi z square of z minus 1 z2 dz. Just I'm showing one problem. Now see here, what is that one? Sin pi z square plus cos pi z square by z minus 1 z. So if you consider this one is fz by z minus 1 z minus. So 1 upon z minus 1 z minus partial fraction if you do. So you'll get 1 upon z minus 2 minus 1 upon z minus 1. Okay. So this will be what? This equal to, you can write in two parts of the integration. Now see here. See here. This will does not exist for z equal to 2. And this will also not exist for z equal to 1. So if you see the Cauchy integral formula, fz by z minus a dz. Fz by z minus a dz. So f of a equal to what? 1 upon 2 pi I. If you see, f of a equal to what? 1 upon 2 pi I integration of c fz by z minus a dz. So fz already you know that. What is your fz? Fz is what? Sin pi z square, cos pi z square. And z minus a. A is what here? 2. So here a is 2 and here a is what? 1. Use this result. Use this result. Use this result. So what you'll get? This part is equal to what? This part is equal to so integration of c fz is this one and z minus a already you have calculated in two parts. So that equal to 2 pi I f of a. Okay. Let's see here. So here a is equal to 2 and a is equal to what? For this a is equal to 1. So sin pi z square plus cos pi z square by z minus 2 dz equal to what? 2 pi I. That will equal to what? 2 pi I f of what? F of a. And fz is what? Fz is this one. This is your fz. So in place of z, you put 2. A. A means what here? For a is what? 2. For a is 2. So sin pi 2 square, cos pi 2 square. Sin 4 pi plus cos 4 pi. What is the value of sin 4 pi? Huh? And sin 4 pi is how much? 0. And cos 4 pi is what? That is 1. So ultimately it is what? 2 pi I. Okay. Similarly, you find for this one, for the second one. Similarly, find for the second one, this one. Sin pi z square plus cos pi z square by z minus a. So here a is equal to what? 1. So that will be, you are getting minus 2 pi I. So since z1 and z2 are inside C and sin pi z square plus cos this fz is analytic inside C, then the required integral has the value what? 2 pi I minus of minus 2 pi I is equal to what? 4 pi I. Because this z1 and z2, you are getting two circles. And that is what? Inside C. So you need to subtract that one. So for z2, we have got 2 pi I, and for z1, means for z equal to 1, we have got this one. So that will be what? 2 pi I minus of minus of this 2 pi I. So ultimately what? That will be equal to 4 pi I. The next one is about, the next one is on this one. The nth derivative. What is that one? For nth derivative, this one. Nth derivative of f at the point z equal to a equal to factorial n upon 2 pi I integration over line integral of c of fz by z minus a to the power n plus 1 dz. So on this, the second problem is, so see, e to the power twice z by z plus 1 to the power 4 dz, where z mod z equal to what? Mod z equal to 3, where c is the circle, and what is that one? Mod z equal to 3. So if you see here, let fz equal to e to the power z, no problem at all. So fz by z minus, and a equal to what? Minus 1. Why? Why a equal to minus 1? Because if you are taking here, if you wants to write in the form of fz by z minus a, if you wants to write in the form this one, if you wants to write this one, so fz is okay, no doubt, e to the power twice z, and z minus a equal to what? A equal to what here? A equal to minus 1 here, because it is plus 1 if you compare this, so a equal to what? Minus 1. So since here it is z plus 1 to the power 4 is there, so that's why we need to use the nth derivative formula. So what is the formula here? Nth derivative of f at z equal to a equal to factorial n upon twice pi I integration over c fz by z minus a to the power n plus 1 dz. Now, if n is equal to 3, if n equal to 3, that means what? Nth derivative of f at z equal to a. So say first you find out the third order derivative of this fz. The first order derivative is what? Twice e to the power twice z. Second order is what? 2 into 2, that means 4 e to the power twice z. And then third integration, third derivative will be what? 4 into 2 e to the power twice z, that means 8 e to the power twice z. Now, and what is the value of a? A is equal to minus 1. That means f third order derivative of z at what? Z equal to minus 1. That means a equal to minus 1. So f triple dash minus 1 equal to what? 8 e to the power what? Minus 2. So we have got this value. Okay, let's see here. How will you use this result here? Now see here, 1. Now you find out the, in place of n, just you put 3 here. So how much? What is the, that means third order derivative at a equal to minus 1. A equal to minus 1. How much it is? 8 e to the power minus 2. So 8 e to the power minus 2 is equal to n is what? 3. So factorial 3 upon twice pi I. Integration over c. Okay, no problem. Fz is what? E to the power twice z. And z minus a is what? Z plus 1 to the power 4. Is that clear? Okay. Now, if you see this result, so this is equal to what you can write? Integration over c fz by z minus a to the power n plus 1. If it is n here, then it is what? N plus 1. Now, so why we choose here n equal to 3 only for this problem? Because here see, z plus 1 to the power 4 is there. Here power 4 is there. So if n plus 1 is equal to 4, so n equal to what? 3. That means, that's why we substituted here n equal to 3. That means that's why we found the third order derivative. So just we are substituting here, so factorial 3. Now if you use this result, integration over c fz by z minus a to the power n plus 1 dz. So n is what? 3. So that is integration over c e to the power twice z, z plus 1 to the power 4 dz equal to what? Just this part. This part take to the what? This side. So it will be this one. Okay. Now I'm just simplifying it, nothing more. So 8 e to the power minus 2 into 2 pi I by factorial 3 means what? 1, 2, 3. And e to the power minus 2, if you bring to the, because minus, so if you bring it to the denominator, so e to the power 2, so 2 cancel out, 8 upon 3 pi I by e2 e square. So that means integration of c e to the power twice z by z plus 1 to the power 4 dz equal to what? 8 pi I by 3 e square. So in this way, we can able to find out the value of the integration inside or outside of the region. Okay. So all about this Cauchy integral formula is here. Then we next will discuss about the Taylor's theorem, and then Lorentz theorem is there. So we'll discuss in the next class. So hope you like this explanation. So whenever we'll meet in the next class, so we'll discuss a little bit more about this all. Okay. Thank you.